And I know that's like a super cliche thing, like don't listen to your parents, don't listen to your teachers, do what you want, but it's true. You just gotta, how badly do you want it? And then do it. That's it.
Greetings and welcome to the third episode of The Bit Between. Today we're joined by Jacob Siegle, aka Seaggs. He makes the sickest hoodies you have ever seen. To begin with, we talk about streetwear and fashion, but later on we talk about business, the importance of going to college, and all sorts of other great stuff. Make sure to check out the show notes or the description if there's any particular part that you want to listen to, and without further ado, let's get on with the show. So, we are here with Jacob Siegle with his Chick-fil-A, or what's left of his Chick-fil-A.
I had the nuggets, but the intro was a little bit longer than planned, but okay.
We managed to get through all 12 nuggets without recording any content for the podcast, so yeah. Anyway, how have you been, man?
I've been good. Just been working the last couple of days, and when we planned to do this interview thing, and I didn't really have anything else going on today, so I thought I could just relax and do nothing.
So you decided to go get nuggets whilst we do the interview.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, are they like waffle chips?
Yeah, they're crisp cut fries. So they're like.
I've never seen them in my life. For those of you who aren't like watching along, they're like crisscross potatoes. I've never seen them in my life.
They're pretty standard in America. They're different kind of fries.
Wow, I've never seen.
Like they're counted as like fries, or crisp chips.
Chips, yeah.
Where you come from? Chips.
Chips, yeah. Crisps are like the crunchy
Doritos.
Doritos, yeah.
Mm.
Anyway,
I know some things.
It goes back to what we were talking about earlier with the pronunciation of different things, like sedan, saloon, whatever it was.
Sedan.
Yeah. What have you been working on then?
I just finished the anime pack, so I closed the store and I began production. I ordered all the blanks for it. I was drawing some cut and sewn pants, just really early stages. I've never done a cut and sewn like custom garment before, so I guess we'll see how it turns out. So I sent it to the manufacturer. The minimums are nice, so it's just about experimenting from here, just seeing how the sample comes out, and then just adjusting shit. Other than that, it's just waiting. Like I sent some orders into some other manufacturers, so. It's really just like waiting a week or 2 weeks for me to get the stuff, and then I can finally progress to announce them, release them, like whatever. But at the current moment, I don't have any immediate work to do. What I wanted to do with my free time is I have like a list of like potential YouTube videos I want to make. So I just have to write a script for it and then record it, my voice, like a voiceover. Excuse me. So the next one I want to do, a little preview, because I already wrote part of the script for this. So I've made a hoodie compare video, like best hoodie blanks for streetwear brands. I made a shirt compare video, and a Rue Porter hoodie, so just a dedicated for one branded hoodie. The next one I want to do is like how to get wholesale accounts, because in the hoodie and shirt videos I talk about like this hoodie is like $59 retail, but $24 wholesale.
Yeah.
And then I got like a couple comments every day. I always go to the comments and refresh with the newest first, because I don't get notifications. So I like just seeing what people say, liking, interacting. So a lot of the comments, or a good handful of the comments, are asking like, how do I get a wholesale account? Do I have to have a brand to get a wholesale account? Why do I need this federal number to get a wholesale account? So it's like, okay, they need some help. So I'm going to try and do a video on that. And I don't know exactly the whole structure of what it's going to be, if I can make it more than 4, 5, 6, 8, whatever minutes. But, I'm just going to share my experience, when I did the research into it and signing up, and then we'll just see how it works. See how it turns out.
So for those who aren't familiar with like the way that you make your hoodies, do you mind giving a quick breakdown of the process?
Yeah. So I mostly work with embroidery. So I have an embroidery machine. So sewing is like with the pressure foot, and you go like, nah, and then it like stitches. Embroidery, like for machine embroidery, you have a software similar to like Adobe Illustrator, Adobe Photoshop, and you're clicking and like you're drawing a design. Both the embroidery software, there's like specific settings that you need to be aware of, like stitch density, stitch length, different types of push-pull compensation, stitch direction, just everything. So you're directing where the needle is going in the design. So you create the design, load it in your machine, put the clothing in it, and then it creates like a little picture, whatever you draw. That's essentially what I do when I make the clothes myself. So like for this screen printed shirt, or for like these embroidered boxing shorts I'm wearing, I had a manufacturer make those for me. So when I'm doing my mass production stuff, when I'm selling like 30, 40, 50, whatever units of them, the manufacturer digitizes it and then makes it, because I only have one machine. I can't make 50 fucking units. It'll just take way too long. So I do one of ones myself, and then I use my other guys to do like cheaper, more manufactured kind of things.
That makes sense.
That's
Yeah. But you use blanks for a lot of your stuff, right? So how come do you think people pay like a fair amount of money for your art when it's on the same hoodie that they can get elsewhere for a whole lot less?
So when I first started out, I did sell my hoodies for like $70, $80, which is like, if you're not into streetwear or fashion, you'd think that'd be pretty expensive. Or I can get a hoodie at a t-shirt warehouse for like $20. It's like, yeah, that's like a standard hoodie. There's nothing on it. But if you're in like the community, there's kind of like a standard of like a price range. Like if you're like $80 isn't that like weird of a price for a hoodie. It just depends if like you support the brand or if you fuck with the design or whatever. So the blanks that I use mostly, depending on the graphic that I put on it, if it's embroidery, if it's applique, I did some dye stuff a while ago. It depends on the blank too. So, there's different blanks that can cost $15, $25, up to $30. It really depends on the brand image. I guess in this case, like my brand image, the blank I'm using, and the graphic I'm doing. Just those three factors. It's also, as like how any brand works, it's how the consumer perceives your brand. Mm-hmm. So like one person, let's say you have two people and they both look at my brand. One of them can say, oh, I wouldn't pay $100 for that hoodie. Like, that's so expensive. You're ripping us off. And another person would say, are you kidding? Siegs, you're amazing. I've been following you forever. That graphic is so cool. I'd pay you $250 for that. Yeah. So it just depends on their frame of how they're framing the brand. So I did a lot of price testing about maybe a year or so ago. It was like in the beginning stages of when I did the one-of-one stuff. When I didn't do applique, it was like strictly embroidery. I gotta stop moving. I'm like, good. 8 minutes. Okay, chilling. So I'll hold it like this instead. So it was like I'd price a hoodie for $90 and it sold right away. And then I'd price a hoodie for like 140, and then it would take like an hour to sell. Like early on in the day, early on in like the Seaggs career, early in the gram. So I kept doing like different prices until I found the area where it was like high enough, but it would sell within like 10 minutes. That was kind of my zone. But I'd make multiple pieces, so like all of them would sell within like 10, 15, 20 minutes back in the day. So every time I introduce a new medium, like when I did dye and then when I did the applique, I'm not sure how the customer perceived the value of that look or that medium, because I know what my embroidery is worth, but for the applique and the dye, I kind of did some more price testing just to see where their head's at.
So you talked a little bit about brand image, and how two people can perceive things differently. How did you go about building your own brand image?
I'm chewing. Hold on. So, it's not like okay, so if you have an initial idea for a company or a business and you know like what you're going to stand for, your mission statement, your brand positioning, your brand image, you can do different marketing efforts and different like interactions with consumers, and you can do a lot of different things to aim for a type of brand image. But for Seaggs, I didn't even start this as a business however many years ago. I got into embroidery from my aunt because I made a birthday gift for my friend Nick, and I just kept making stuff. I wanted to make hats and then shirts, and then I started to get more into like the fashion community. I guess it's not just fashion; it just sounds really pretentious. But I
How old were
started
you
to
at this
get like
time?
at that time,
Yeah, like when you first began.
19, 20, 19
Okay.
or 20, like somewhere between them. So I I got into sneakers a lot. I started to do custom shoes. So I didn't really go into Seaggs as like a business. It was just more about like just I wanted to be creative and I just wanted to make things, and I would learn the community, and then I might post something and with a dollar sign, and maybe someone would buy it, maybe not, but it didn't discourage me. I didn't really care. So the brand image is just like, I don't know, like be yourself. Oh, that's so cliche. It's true, but it's like it's so cheesy when people say that. Just don't copy people too much. Like everyone copies each other in like creative spaces and in like fashion and art world and whatever. But try to add a little spice of your own, a little creativity. Just be nice, be honest, do the best you can, talk to the people who support you, and don't make stupid decisions. And that's pretty much it. If you want to have like a good brand image, if you have like, if you're building like an actual like brand, no one starts out with a brand. You kind of got to work your way up to that a little bit. But there's like brand image, and there's just a couple things you need to. I forgot where I was going with that. Just be yourself, essentially.
But I think for some people, being yourself is very common advice. But for some people, they really struggle with that. They really struggle with the idea
Mm-hmm.
of just going with what they want to do. So, how did you do that? Were there times where you felt like it was difficult for you to be yourself? And did you have any ways of overcoming that?
Difficult to be myself, like as an individual or like in the creative sense.
Both.
So as a kid, I used to play a lot of video games. So I was like alone for a long time, like out of like in my room, like a house, kind of like I was comfortable being like alone playing video games. I had like two best friends, which I still hang out with today. So it was just me and them. So I never really had an issue with like trying to impress people or changing my personality to try to, be someone who I'm not. And same with being creative, since I didn't have like one of my friends is like super into chemistry and science. The other one's like a meathead, always goes to the gym. So it's not like I was in this friendship circle of people who were already in like the fashion streetwear kind of clique. So I never really had to like, I guess, okay. So for example, let's do like a little scenario. Let's say I had a couple friends I grew up with that were into streetwear, fashion, sneakers, Virgil Abloh, Off-White, Supreme, blah, blah, blah. If I were to start my own brand, I don't know what my perception of my own brand would be in that circle of friends. Maybe I would lie to them and say, like, oh, I sold out this week, or I'm doing this thing, or I'm copying this guy. And so, like, I didn't really have the influence of having, like, streetwear friends to make me push. What's the best way to phrase this? I just don't have any like streetwear fashion friends around me, so I don't need to really fake anything about my brand. It's just only me in my room judging myself with it. So I know what's good. I know what's bad I know like when I make something good, I know when I make something bad. And that's really it. Like if people online say something is like you stole this or like this is shitty, overpriced, it's like you move on. Because I have like a million other things that I can do after that. So I
Yeah.
really didn't really grow up with like a fashion background. So I don't frame my own products or creative things off of that.
But so if you didn't grow up in fashion or have any real connections to it, like, why did you get into it? Or
An
how?
accident. On accident. So okay, so here's the main story. So I wanted to make a birthday gift for my friend Nick. He is a real estate agent. And I wanted to make him a jacket that said like his name and then like his real estate agent group. I'm at 14 minutes. Okay. I texted my aunt who she has like 5 embroidery machines. She's super creative. And I went to her house and she made it for me. The jacket turned out great. I gave it to Nick. He loved it. So that gave me an idea. Like, oh, I could do an embroidery gift for everyone. Like everyone loves custom fucking shit embroidered. So I kept going back to her for like gift ideas and projects for myself. And this happened over the course of a couple months. And she said, if this interests you so much, why don't you get your own machine? And I said, I've never thought about that. So she sent me the eBay link. I got the own machine. What was the question again? Hold on.
The question was just like how you got into fashion.
Oh, right. Okay. So I got the embroidery machine. I started to do hats because I'd always see like, it was like on like Twitter, like dad hats were like super hot at the time. I wanted to do hats, and then I got into some shirts, and then I got into sneakers. So this is when, like, I wasn't even in the fashion streetwear community when I was doing hats and the shirts. But when I got into sneakers and doing custom shoes, I think I was in community college at the time, and I had like a pair of Vans, and I made like, do you know those small Dixie cups with like the 90s jazz pattern on them?
Like the white cups with the
teal and the purple.
Yeah.
Okay, so I made like a vector drawing of that and I sewed it onto a pair of Vans. Over the course of a couple months, I think I sold maybe 50 or 60, like here and there, just trying to, I didn't really know how to do like Facebook, Instagram ads. I just posted them and do a fuck ton of hashtags. But that was when I started to really, follow like streetwear related accounts or hype beast stuff. Like rate my kicks, and I'd start to follow other customizers and other like shoe people, and I'd be friends with some of them, or I'd be in a clique with some of them, or we hear gossip about another person. That was like my first window into that kind of creative space. I'm not in the shoe world anymore. I don't even know if I was considered to be in the shoe world because I'm not a sneakerhead. I don't care about Jordans. I don't care about fucking what. I don't even more care to think of a name. I'm not really a shoe person. Like if shoes are cool, they're great, but I'm just more into like custom clothing. So I don't own any Off-White. I don't own Supreme. The only Supreme item I own is a bouncy ball. It's like, that's it. I don't own any real hype beast items. Like I'd rather just support other brands with like, 5K followers, 10K, 20K, whatever. Just like streetwear brands. Brands owned by like people like you and me, normal people, not like a corporation.
Yeah.
I'm not like I'm against like the man, but it's like I feel like the brands, the products coming from those kind of community are just like more creative. They're just more fun.
Yeah, you kind of value the originality and creativity behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when it comes to like being original, it's difficult to do that because, as you kind of touched upon before, you can only be so original. You can only be, well, that's what I think. I don't know what you think. You can only be so original because you have to get your ideas from somewhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
So did you have like main inspirations or main ideas that you copied to begin with? Or has everything that you've done just been purely out of your brain?
No, definitely not. So let's see. So yeah, I agree with that. Nothing is ever like 100% original. It's always inspired by something. It comes from something else, even if it's like a little tiny thing. But when I was doing hats, I straight up 100% copied a design, ripped it, I sold it. No originality. It was the polo, the polo dude on the horse with the thing.
Yeah.
It was like a dude. Instead, he was on a chicken, and it said polio, and I thought that was super funny. So I embroidered that and sold it. So in the beginning, if you're just starting out, it's, even though copying, stealing is frowned upon, you still need to get good at your craft. So when you're starting out in something, I think it's appropriate to copy people. If you take credit for it, don't. I'd say not to take credit for it. If you're going to copy someone like 100%, either do it for yourself or sell it to like friends and family. But if you're going to put it into the market, the microphone, I don't know how far away it's going to pick up my voice. If you're putting it into the market to like sell to strangers, you should then at least have some, creativity, some originality, even though it draws from something. Like there was a speech that I was watching on YouTube a while ago. It's like Virgil Abloh was speaking at some Harvard fucking speech. I don't know. So he was talking about how him and his team were like making the shoes, and they were working on the Presto. So there was like some students who were working on a shoe, and they had like an Air Max shoe, and they took the sole off, took the laces off, and they stuck their hand in it and just flipped it inside out. And then they put like some Ultra Boost cage or something on it. And they're like, what else can you do? And Virgil's like, no, that's it. Stop. Like, you're done. That's the whole shoe. So the creativity was, I'm just going to flip the entire fucking shoe inside out. And you get like that kind of raw work in progress seam look. But they're literally using another model of a shoe for their own thing. So you can rip like foundation or concepts, ideas from anywhere, and you can make it something totally new. Like in streetwear. Are you active in streetwear? Do you know like a lot about it a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. So you there's lots of skeletons.
Yes.
It's in streetwear. So everyone and their mother has like a shirt and a hoodie with like, the sternum, the rib cage, clavicle muscles. It's everywhere. Printed, embroidered, chenille, I don't know what it's called, puff print, anything. So it's been done so many times that you'd think like the streetwear people love skulls, they love skeletons, grungy stuff, dark, bleh, devil shit, whatever. So how can you make something new with a skeleton? And I think that's actually one of the more difficult things to do, because if someone has used some concept or element so many fucking times, like everyone uses it, what can you really do to make that idea like refreshing and new again? And I think that's a cool challenge, because you can take like, oh, I bet no one's ever made a whale sitting on a tree playing a guitar. You know what I mean? Like a random thing no one's ever made. But if it's like, oh, everyone's made this, but I can do this of the same thing and it's brand new. So that's like the money zone. So you bounce off other people's kind of not other people's like they own the skeleton, but like popular kind of elements design. You tweak it a bit, and because that ribcage thing, like people, Supreme had, I forget who started it or if there was ever a start to it, but Supreme made like a motorcycle jacket with like a skeleton leather stitching on the back. Yeah. It was dope. It was cool, but there's so many mediums and ways to do it.
Yeah.
I want to do it. I just can't think of a good way to make it new. Not yet. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, there's like trends, but then people get kind of obsessed with it and take it to a level where everybody just gets sick of it so fast. And I think because of the way we have social media spreading information so quickly, everybody sees it so fast and they think, oh, this is the trend, I need to make this. And then all of a sudden you have 100 different companies all making a t-shirt with a skeleton on because they all think it's a trend, and now everybody's sick of skeletons. So and then
it becomes so oversaturated too quickly. Like you finding a new favorite song and you listen to it on repeat and then you're like, I hate this song after like a couple days.
Yeah. That's a really good analogy. That's a really good analogy, because the song's still the same and it's still good, but because it's been, oh, bro, that was a good analogy.
Yeah, I said it.
But have you had any instances where you found that money zone that you're talking about, where you've taken something that's already been its own thing and then flipped it or changed it and made it into something crazy?
Money zone of me flipping it. I'd say when I first started doing the applique, that was kind of cool. Like, I haven't really seen, I don't know of a lot of people who just do machine embroidery, like one-of-one stuff. I know a couple people, but not anyone as I'm not trying to like toot my own horn here, but just like people who like are as established. I'm only at 10K. It's not that big a deal, but you know what I mean? People who doesn't know how to embroider a lot of shit. I haven't really seen anyone that's like that. So when I first did the applique stuff, I haven't really seen any one-of-one using tapestry applique. So tapestry is the material. Applique is the method of creating those isolated shapes with the material with the zigzag stitches. I've seen people manually do that. Like there's a guy named Ubu Tim, ubu.tim, and he makes like, he likes anime, so he makes like Dragon Ball Z, One Piece, Naruto, different kind of like giant characters on the front of a hoodie, but he like cuts out the fabric and then manually does zigzag stitches with his machine, like with his hands.
Yeah.
I have to like hoop my fabric in different parts and then do that. But when I first did the applique thing, I did 3 samurais right above the kangaroo pocket with like a bunch of different materials per samurai. And I thought that was it just turned out so cool. I didn't really do anything new. People do samurais and swords and fighting kind of elements, graphics, and designed all the time. The applique thing wasn't brand new, but I haven't really seen like someone use it in terms of using it like machine embroidery to apply it rather than like hand doing it like Ubuntu. So that kind of applique kind of didn't blow up, but it's faster to do because you're using a piece of fabric now to fill up a large colored shape rather than embroidering a big shape of fill stitches, which fucking goes back and forth and it takes forever. So I'd rather just fill it up with fabric of the same color.
Yeah.
20 minutes for a red circle, or I can just get red felt and just put it there and then that's it. Another thing is I don't really do skeletons a lot. I've only done 2 skeletons, I think, ever, and they were both applique. So one of them was like a praying skeleton, which took forever. It took so fucking long. I don't have any more of the fabric, so thank God. I don't have to make that one again. At least in that fabric, but it was so annoying. And the next one is I made some blue and red skeletons on like some cream hoodies, which I did a pre-order for. So, you know, skeletons are overused in a way. Like every single fucking streetwear shirt, it's always like a skeleton on a horse with a sword, a skeleton like a giant skeleton behind a graphic, and his hands are like this. And there's like fucking like a naked girl going like that's like all the fucking streetwear brand shit. That's like at least one graphic like that in every fucking release. So I did the skeleton thing. I did the applique. That was my version of it. I wouldn't say it was amazing, but it looks pretty damn good. And that's just the question was if I've done anything like that, like put my spin on it, I'd say the skeleton thing, but it's not like I did anything like too creative. Nothing too hard.
That's fair. I'm going to try and flip this question around now. Have you done anything that I can see you smiling already. Have you done anything that was not a good idea and was a big mistake to do? What did you learn from them?
A big mistake. I have so many.
Just list them all. List them all, bro. Go for it.
I can't list them all, but I can list some of them.
Go ahead.
Let's see. I got scammed a while ago. This didn't really have anything to do with Seaggs. This is just like, as an individual, Jacob made a really bad decision. Just believing you shouldn't believe everyone you meet on the internet. That's what you should do. So basically, you know what? Some of my followers know this story. And it is kind of embarrassing, but humbling, I'm sure. Okay, so before I get into it, because it's a very juicy story, I'm trying to think of any other, and then maybe this could be a section where if you want to edit it as I'm thinking, because I don't know, I'm trying to like think of like bad decisions I've made. I don't know. I've burned bridges with people. Like someone reached out to me, like I'm not gonna say their name, but there was a brand that reached out to me and they said, "Hey, Seaggs, I like your embroidery. Shit's cool. We want you to make a lab coat, an embroidered lab coat." So I bought a lab coat. I embroidered the brand name of them and another thing, and then on the back I had like a little barbed wire and like a blacksmith fucking doing shit. It's cool. It took a couple hours. It was dope. I mailed it to them. They're in Utah. If anyone knows who I'm talking about. And they never, I hope that's the right state. I honestly think I'm 90% sure the right state. And they never hit me up. They fucking ghosted me, never even looked at my Instagram messages, never responded to text messages. And this is the first time I was releasing my boxing hoodies. So I told the dude, like, hey, I'm releasing my boxing stuff. If I send you the lab coat, can you like shout me out to give me a little bit more exposure before my release? He's like, yeah, I can do that, sure, bro. And it didn't happen. And I was really salty about that for the longest time, because like I was in a position where I could have used the money and I could have gotten more exposure and more sales and like meh. But it's like this person's very busy and they have a whole team. They're constantly on social media doing stuff, and you can't really get mad or upset when people are busy, even though you may not know exactly why they didn't text you back, why they ghosted you, blah blah blah. It's not good to always like stay like in those thoughts, like fuck this person, they ran on their side of the deal. You never know what happened. So I let it go. It took a month, but I was fucking mad, but it took a month. I let it go and it's all good now. I hold nothing negative towards them, but it was just like maybe at the time I think maybe I gossiped about them to like one or two other brand owners, but now I feel like icky. I feel bad that I did that because they
And
didn't
now
really do
you're
anything wrong.
gossiping about them again.
I don't, but it's not. This isn't like malicious gossip. This is more like observational of how like how I feel now about it.
Yeah.
Like I felt this way back then, and I should have felt this way, but now I feel this way. Yeah. So gossiping would be still talking shit on them, but now it's like I'm just relaying the general story. Yeah. Okay, so I have the scamming story. Want to hear it?
Let's do it, man.
Okay, so God, it was so long ago. I filed an FBI report. I filed a police report.
This must have been big then.
I don't know if the FBI would do anything. It was just like maybe to scare them, but I went to the police station, dropped off a giant folder, and spoke with a detective. Okay, so it starts off with this dude. His name is... Should I name drop him? Nah. Okay. Nah, okay. So let's say this dude's name is Chavoy, because that's his name. So Chavoy messages me. And he's like, yo, I love your clothes. I love your stuff. I work for a store here in New York called like Sandry, and I want to get your clothes in the store. And this is the first time anyone's messaged me to get my clothes in a physical place. So I'm kind of going in like sparkly eyes, like, oh my God, there could be something here. And he showed me the website, and I looked on the website, and he's like, I represent this dude. So what we do is like, I want to get your clothes in a store. We already have this brand in the store. We already have this brand in the store. I got his phone number. We started texting each other, like my embroidery machine. He sent me his machines, his screen printed stuff, all these different things. And okay, so we're sharing our machines with each other. He's showing me like some celebrities wearing his stuff. Yeah, I don't remember, but he had like two A-list celebrities wearing his shit like a while ago. But it just built credibility. So, but I was gullible at the time too. So I didn't have a lot of experience interacting with people online. And just seeing all that shit, I was just like getting my clothes in a store, like rose tinted glasses. Like it was just perfect. So the plan was, and I tell the story every now and then because it can help people avoid being scammed. And even after I did get scammed, someone messaged me on DM and said, hey, I think I'm getting scammed. I know you got scammed. What do I do? So I was able to help someone through that as well. That was my microphone. 3512. Okay, we're chilling. So we're texting and shit. Okay, so then I give him, there are extra details I may leave out, but basically just the meat of it. I give him partial access to my Shopify account. So he can't look at my address. He can't change any payment stuff, any credit cards. He can just handle like point of sale. So point of sale is when, let's say I host a pop-up. Oh, you're breathing. So let's say you're hosting like a pop-up. And like you have one of those chips on the bottom of your phone and like you swipe your card to like check out. That's point of sale. So this is very clever how he did this, but I activated point of sale on my thing. You don't need to enter in an address when you're doing a point of sale thing. So he's like, yeah, I got tons of people who want like this space hoodie, this other hoodie, these shoes, blah, blah, blah. And I have a manufacturer who lives in my state. He can make that. You'll get 40% because it's your brand, but I'll get 60%, which is the Shavoy. Shavoy gets 60% because I'm doing the logistics, the work, the communicating. And I'm like, that seems fair to me. That math checks out. So, first day starts and I started to get like 10 orders of like this $150 hoodie. And I'm like, wow, that's a lot of fucking shit. So, I mean, now looking back, there's a lot of red flags, but at the time, you don't notice the red flag.
Yeah.
Because like your glasses are rose.
You're so ingrained into it.
Yeah, I wanted to believe. I so bad wanted to believe. So 10 of these hoodies, 6 of these hoodies, blah, 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 blah. They're all selling. First day, it's $6,000 in revenue. And I'm telling my friend. So $6,000 first day, boom. And then I told my friends, told my parents, and they're like, seems too good to be true. And I'm like, I know, isn't this great? I was such an idiot. So and then I kept texting him like, yo, show me production, blah, blah, blah. And at this point, he starts to become very quiet. He starts to not reply as fast as he once did. So a couple days has happened. There were some other details I forget, blah, blah, blah. So then, after like 3 days, I decide, let me just go on the Sandry Instagram, which is like the store he was claiming to represent. And I DM'd them. And I told them what was going on. Hey, you have a dude named Shavoy representing you. He said that he's buying my clothes to go in your store. And then the store replies with, oh, no, thank you. We're not doing consignment. And I said, no, you don't understand. There's a dude claiming to work with you guys who's currently putting my clothes in your store. And he's like, what are you talking about? So I sent him screenshots of my text messages, his phone number, his email, his Instagram. By the end of this whole situation, I know so much about this dude. His information is everywhere on the internet. His face, school, family, emails, YouTube, everything. So, and then like 20 minutes later, Shavoy texts me and says, yo, why is Sandry like calling me talking about scamming? Like, what the fuck? Blah, blah, blah. So I think at this point he was texting me, the owner of the store he claimed to work for, and then a third person who turned out to be the mastermind of the whole situation. It was a very weird web.
Whoa. So Shavoy is
like
working
a foot soldier. He was like a foot soldier.
Other dude, but Shavoy thinks he's... Wait, so does Shavoy think he's working for Sandry?
No. So Shavoy tricked me saying like, oh, I'm Shavoy. I'm Shavoy. I work for Sandry. I can get your clothes in the store. There was a third person. So me, Shavoy, Sandry guy. There was a fourth person who turned out to be like the puppet master of Shavoy. So I'll get to that. So once I realized that Sandry was like, no, we don't work with this guy, I went to Shopify and I suspended his activity. And then I called my bank, called PayPal, tried to call Cash App. You can't, once you use Cash App, there's no way to get your money back, ever. Nothing. So I filed claims on some of the transactions I sent him. There were like 4 or 5 transactions for a couple thousand, couple hundred, whatever, sent to him, like his cut. And I feel so foolish, but I can laugh about it now because I learned a lot and it's kind of funny because it's all over with now. Everything's settled. Everything's good now. But I got some money back. And then Shavoy texts me like, yo, why the fuck is like $5,000 missing out of my account? Like, what are you doing? Like, where's my money? And I'm like, and I'm not replying to him at all. So I'm still talking with Sandry. I filed a police report. I did so much research. This was like, for 3 days, I was dealing with this. I was the most stressed I've ever been. So in total, he charged over $20,000 on my Shopify in revenue. And in some of the things that I've sent him, like I sent him a PayPal through friends and family, and I can't get that money back. So in total, I lost about $4,500.
Wow.
As a beginning business, like that's a big dent. So, you know, I could pay for like a third of it. And then I took a loan from my dad, and then I slowly paid him back, which was, you know, which I'm blessed to be able to be in that position. Like if some people, if they're in that position, they couldn't get a loan from anyone. Then what do you do? So luckily I was able to just get that temporary fix and then gradually pay him back, which took like 7 months, just gradually. Because I wouldn't sell clothes and then give him all my profit. Like I had to continue my business, but also gradually.
Yeah.
So, I did all my research. He goes to Connecticut. He goes to a Connecticut school. I called a bunch of numbers of his potential family. Like, did you know your son is a dick? I don't know, something like that. I found like phone numbers, emails, brands, pictures, YouTube video, Twitter, everything. And as I was looking on Shopify, when someone places an order, it tells you the date they placed the order. I want to make sure my car is not about to die. Okay, I need to turn my AC off. I may start driving in a bit just to recharge my battery.
No worries.
Because Priuses are dope. So every Shopify order has like the date something was purchased, order number. It tells you the credit card that was used. And on some of the orders, it said a credit card ending in blah, 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 blah was tried and then failed. Credit card ending in blah blah. So there were some orders that had like 3 credit cards that were tried, and then the 4th one worked. Some of them worked right away. Other ones it took 2 to work. And it's like, okay, he's trying different cards. He either stole these credit cards or he purchased stolen credit card numbers. And then after I called him out on all this, and money was taken out of his Stripe account, and I sent him pictures of like a FBI and police report. And then I blasted him on my Instagram, like, everyone go spam this motherfucker. Like I talked to my parents about that. They're like, no, don't spam him. Then I told my friend and my meathead friend, and he's like, oh, fuck him up. Spam that shit. Let everyone know what the fuck he's done. And I was like, yeah, I like that. So I did that. And then he's emailing me, and then he's like, or messaging me. He's like, no, it's not me, bro. It's Christian. Look him up on like Reddit. Here's his number. It's Christian. And I'm like, who the fuck is Christian? At this point, I don't believe anything he says. I just think he's full of lies. But later on, like a couple of weeks after everything kind of settled, I remembered Christian's name for some reason. And I looked up the text message, and I looked him up on Instagram. I looked at Christian, and his entire page is like just him posing with like nice cars and money and some shitty t-shirt design and a bunch of stuff. And him and Shavoy are following each other. And I think this dude was the mastermind, because once I told Shavoy about the police stuff and the money being out of his account, he acted like his demeanor changed over texting, and he genuinely did it felt like he was on the more scared side. So, I mean, I was already I'm the victim here. Fuck them. Like, I was stressed regardless, but he felt scared. He's going to get in trouble. But then he was saying, like, I'm working for this Christian guy. He told me he would make some quick money. And so Christian used Shavoy to scam me or anyone gullible enough to get scammed. So then Christian is like further away from the crime. So if anyone were to get in trouble, it'd be Shavoy. So, but I learned about Christian later on, so I can't really add that to the police report because I have very little evidence on that. Just like one text message on it. So
makes sense.
The lesson is, don't trust everyone on the internet. Don't give people access to your Shopify. And don't trust anyone on the internet.
I mean, when I don't know if they have it the same over in the US, but they have a lot of these like being aware of like bullying online and dangerous things on the internet, and nobody ever thinks it's going to be them. I think that's a good example of that. Like, nobody ever thinks that they're the one who's going to get scammed. So
I'm smarter than that. Yeah.
Yeah. But that really sucks, man. But you've got to move on.
I learned a lot from it. Just about interacting with people online. You know, everyone, because ever since that happened, when people said like, yo, I want to collab, like you send me products and I'll promote you, there's now like an extra little tick in my head saying, will they really? Yeah. So I started to collaborate with, they're not famous people. They have like 20K, 30, 40K. That's not being famous. That's Instagram you're like a C-list celebrity on Instagram at that point.
Yeah.
I just started saying no to them more. Like, nah, man, I'm good. And it's just like, it sucks, but, you know, it just saves my ass a little bit. But after that, someone messaged me and said, hey, like, I'm getting scammed. Can I call you? A random dude from like the Midwest, like another fucking state. And he's like, hey, I think I'm getting scammed. I talked to my little brother about it. And he said that he follows you and you got scammed recently and you might be able to help. And I was thinking like, oh, this is cool. I get to actually help someone through my experience. So he told me that, and his situation's more fucked up. So people like music, people like rappers. And I'm sure it's everyone's, maybe not their dream, but it would really make their day, their year, week if they could work with a rapper they look up to. The dude calls me and says, all right, so I like this rapper. And I reached out to the rapper and said, hey, can I send you some custom shoes or clothes and you can promote it? And I didn't fully understand what he said next, but he told me that the rapper told him, like, how about instead of you sending me stuff, we do something with Bitcoin? I was like, what? That's where he lost me. He was going to do something with like some Bitcoin exchange on his website. I don't understand the exact dynamic. Maybe he wasn't telling me everything out of fear of like embarrassment, but something to do with Bitcoin, which shouldn't be anywhere near the clothing brand. And basically, I gave Shavoy staff permission for the website, limited, but this fucking dude, gave him his username and password.
Oh dear.
Not the best thing to do. And he got on the website and then charged a bunch of shit and then bounced. So, and this kid was 17 who was calling me. At this time, I was like 22. So I have a little bit more like resilience to stuff and I know how to do something. And I told him like, okay, you like call your bank, call PayPal, request a claim. If they say they won't do it, tell them to do it. Ask a manager. If you call and like a representative, okay, general information. If you're calling someone and you want something fixed or like redone or refunded, always ask for the manager. I know it's a very Karen move, but they have to do it. And chances are they want to keep you happy and they will 80-90% of the time do it. So don't just give in and be submissive for like the foot soldier representatives. Like talk to the upper people and you can get what you want. So this dude filed claims on PayPal, Chase, Shopify. You got to call them every day. You got to be annoying. That's the best way to get shit done as quickly as you can. You have to call every day. Hey, did you work on my claim? Did you work on my claim? Blah, blah, blah. I spoke with Sharon yesterday. I spoke with Tim the day before. Write down names, write down times, be annoying and you will get your shit fixed. This dude only lost like $1,800, which is still a lot of money at 17, but like he would have lost like $7,000 if at least like if he didn't do anything, he would have lost $7,000. But I just like to think my bad experience in at least one way helped this dude from not losing so much. So there are positives in getting scammed, but you know, mostly negatives, but there are some good things. I can laugh about it now, so it's all good. But that was probably the biggest mistake I've made ever.
Yeah, and hopefully instead of people getting scammed themselves, they can look at you and think, oh, he got scammed like this, learn from that. Because it's like, I was talking to my mum about this the other day. For me to learn things sometimes, I prefer to, you know, go up to the stove and put my hand flat on it to test if it's hot, as opposed to just trusting that it's hot. And I feel like that's that's a good analogy to kind of explain that sometimes you don't have to experience something yourself to know that this is what's going on. And so I think by sharing experiences and being open about things like that, we can really help people. And that's exemplified with like that dude. You should drop your potato thing.
It can be difficult if you're about to put your hand on the stove and the stove is like, hey, I'll give you some money if you do it. Then it becomes really difficult.
Yeah, I guess so. One thing that I notice is when I work on creative things, it doesn't seem to take any effort. Like when I work on stuff that I'm not interested in, like some schoolwork or whatever, it takes a lot of effort for me to do, and it feels like hard work. But then when I do stuff like working on a podcast or making some sort of art in whatever form it might be, it doesn't seem to feel like work. Is that the same for you?
Yeah, because you enjoy it. And like when you're doing homework and you don't want to, you have to finish the task, but you're also fighting like the willpower to do it. But if I'm like when I was working on the tech pack for those sweatpants, maybe you saw on Instagram,
Yeah.
I genuinely wanted to make some pants. But I have two laptops, so like I was also listening to like, you know, comedy shows on YouTube or something. So background stuff that's also entertaining. And then my other laptop is like the work laptop. So it's not like I'm just in isolation doing the work as well. But it's if you enjoy doing something and you like doing it, then it's not work. You're just slowly completing something you like. So yeah, I mean, work is work, but if you know, like if you enjoy what you do, you never work a day in your life. Like that whole, it relates back to that thing.
But do you think that's true? Do you think it's because it's still work? It's still
by
work.
definition, but like someone could, I'm sure there are people who are shoe cobblers and they just grew up in a family of shoe cobblers and they just enjoy it and they love it and they love the craft. They take days, sometimes weeks to just create a fine leather shoe, just all like the shaving of the leather and the threading and the gluing and just the look on the customer's face when they have the perfect exact shoe fitting their foot after they measured it. That's like fulfilling, that's satisfying. And then there could be another person who was just, they had to get a job and that was the only place hiring. They're like, may not be the same level of like status in the shoe, like the head maker or like a intern or like someone who's learning how to make shoes. But some people see it as work, like, oh, it's just labor. I'm just sewing. And they may not like sewing or gluing or handiwork, but it just depends on who the person is and what you're working on. Well, if you enjoy it, then you enjoy it. And like you're existing in the moment of, this is going to be a great shoe. And I gotta, you know, glue this together ever so carefully. And then I got to shave off the extra glue. And then I got to shave this and sew it. Wow, this looks really good. Better than the last shoe I made too. Oh, the client's really going to like this. And you keep making it. And you're just, it's not just about making a product for a client now. It's more about like a sense of portfolio of like, these are all the great shoes I've made. And this one is one of the best. And I feel so accomplished that Jacob, have made this shoe. I am so talented. I am so creative. Or it could expand into that. Like if you're doing something you like, you feel prideful because you're doing it well, or you just enjoy the act of doing it because you're creative in that sense, or you're determined to accomplish this thing in that sense versus, you know, someone doing the same task, just seeing it as work, as an obligation, a chore. So it depends on the person, depends on what the task is.
But one thing that I find weird, like I made my first video for somebody else like relatively recently, and recently like some people have been hitting me up, like just friends or like people I already know, asking if I can make certain things for them. And it's really different when you go from just making something for yourself or for your own enjoyment, and then all of a sudden you've got the pressure of, I'm making this to sell or I'm making this for a client. So how did you deal with that? How did you deal with the added pressure of, I'm not just making this for me, this isn't just like my hoodie I'm going to wear, this is going to be sold to somebody and somebody has to want this?
So I'm going to compare it to me making my one-of-one stuff and then they're all done and then I put it up to sell and then whoever wants to buy it buys it. And I'm going to compare that to if I were to do a commission for someone where they send me their ideas and then I make it. So when I make my own pieces, I already have a set idea. I have my own standard of like what I know I'm able to make, what I'm happy with once it's done. Because if I'm happy with it and it's done and I think it's complete, then, you know, my follower base, you know, they're following me for a reason. They like trust in my, you know, thought process, creativity. They're going to see the finished piece and be like, oh, that's Seaggs. I want that, or I don't want that, like whatever. So when I'm making it for myself, there's more freedom because the only judge is me, and then I'm done. No one is obligated to buy it. I don't need anyone to buy it. I'm not making it. In a sense, I'm making it for someone, but it's not like a categorized person yet. It's just making it to be done, and then whoever wants it, whoever like resonates with the idea or concept or one piece gets it. So there's no restriction in it. I just have an idea for a 3 samurais and the applique pieces, and I'll use different fabrics for each article of clothing so it looks more like contrasting and the colors look better and the texture of the fabric. Yeah, that'll look cool. Okay, cool. I'll make that. And then I do it and it's done. And that's it. But when I'm doing a commission for someone, like I did a commission for this girl I went to high school with, and she wanted a picture of herself on the front and some other graphics on the back. So we threw ideas back and forth. And I did enjoy that. Maybe not as much as making my own stuff because you are making it for someone. But it's like the graphics work. Okay, how about this? So the graphics were cool. Okay, actually, there's 2 kinds of commissions. So one of them is when they give you ideas like, oh, I want the hoodie to be like adjective, this. And then I do research or look on Pinterest, Google Images to find related stuff that I would enjoy drawing, but that also fits the criteria. That's one commission type. The other commission type is someone sending me their own graphics that they made or they found. So they're not graphics that I may like or resonate with, but the graphics that the consumer, the client wants. Those are the ones that like, I'm not going to say I hate it. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I'm more indifferent. Like work is work, but they're like when you make something and it's done and then you sell it versus when you do a pre-order and people give you money first, then you make it, you already got the endorphins from the money. So like sometimes when I do pre-orders, it just feels more like work after because I already got all the money. I already spent it on samples or recreational stuff where I put money away to save. Now to do my side of the deal, it's like a chore now or work versus, you know, making something right off the bat and then selling it. It's just different type of fulfillment going on depending on the order of like money to making the product for the client. So I think I kind of went off a little tangent there, but yeah, making stuff for yourself, it is a lot more fulfilling because it's just you're making yourself feel good because it's easier. You're making what you want to make. And when when the client does a commission and you're making it for them, you're not as tied, or that's a good word, you're not as tied to the graphic, to the project as you would be if you were to decide what to make.
Yeah.
So the same way how like brands make what they want, they're making their own styles and then consumers come to them, while manufacturers, they make everything for other people. So they either like love the business, they just love being businessmen and managing a bunch of stuff. They love being maybe they were never a creative person and couldn't make their own brand, but they love the community or the environment. Yeah. Like most streetwear manufacturers, they make for other people. They're not making their own stuff, but they're making for other people. So it just depends. Again, it just goes back to like, you know, what are your values and what do you like and what do you enjoy? And just depend. That's my car. Yeah, I'm low on battery, so my car just fucking starts purring and charge itself. I don't know if you can hear that. The grumbling.
I didn't hear it in my headphones, but I don't know.
It's all good. But yeah, that's my answer. I think I said it.
Yeah. And is this your like full-time job, or do you have something else that you do?
This is my full-time thing right now. So my first like real job was this was like 4 or 5 years ago. 5-6 years ago. So I was a substitute instructional aide for special needs kids and like handicapped children in the Fountain Valley School District, which is a couple minutes away from where I live. I have a special needs sister, so it was kind of easier for me to get into that kind of job. My microphone fell again. Hold on. 11:58, 59. Okay, we're good. So I worked there for like 3 years. I worked for the district, so there were 12 schools I could work at. So in the morning, it's 6 a.m., 4 days a week. A lady from the office would call me and say, hey, good morning, Jacob. You're working at Courageous Elementary today. You're working at Talbot Middle School. You're working at Oka Elementary, whatever school called and said, we need a sub, they'd call me. Some schools requested me. 2 of the schools requested me, which was nice because that makes me feel good. Like they want me. I'm a good person. And so that was fun. The kids are nice. I'll be honest, there are some days when they're like, hey, today you're going to Courageous Elementary and you're going to classroom like A3. And I'm like, fuck. Because I know who I'm going to be helping. I'm not going to say this person's name because they're a child, obviously. I'm not going to say that shit. But, some kids are easier than other kids. And some of them are the devil. And you just don't enjoy helping. Maybe not the word helping, but, there are some days that were easier than others. And, like, it's just like, fuck, I know today's going to be a long day. But, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So it teaches character. Oh, my God, it teaches so much patience. Fuck. A lot of the kids, they really put you through the ringer with, like, patience on a lot of stuff. But I did that for 3 years. And then I got my new college schedule, and I couldn't, the class times didn't match up. So I couldn't do the teaching job anymore, which I loved. I really did enjoy it. I went to a summer camp. They invited me to a summer camp to help work out with some new kids I haven't worked with before. We went to fucking Knott's Berry Farm, a water park. We go on a field trip like once a week. We went to a zoo. Like, it was honestly a vacation for me as well as like a teacher. So it was cool that way. After that, after I got my schedule, I became a driver at Domino's, which is actually a pretty nice job, being a driver. You wash dishes, you fold boxes, you stack cheese, and you drive pizza around listening to music. And I had to answer I hated answering the phone call because I never fully understood or got used to like the computer system of like where all the items were, and the fucking audio on the phone call was so low and you couldn't hear them. And I would avoid the phone at all costs. Sometimes I would the phone would ring and like other drivers were out on delivery and people were busy in the front. So if the phone would ring, I would like run in the bathroom and hide because I wouldn't want to answer the phone. And then they call my name, Jacob, and I'm like, oh, I have a delivery. Oh, can't answer the phone. So then I would just get out of there. Yeah, I had a nice little system set up. So I did that for 3 years too. And then I just felt stuck near the end. And I think that's what Sam Reno said in one of his, I've watched some of his videos, and he said like he used to work, I forgot where, but he worked at some, I don't know if it was fast. Yeah, some kind of food plate. Yeah. And he said like, he was like folding boxes at the time, and he's like, I'm meant for greater things than this. And I was like, yeah, I felt the same way. But another level on that was I had older people working with me. This dude named Felix, this like 50-year-old Mexican guy. He is so fucking funny, dude. He quit like a year before I left to do Uber and Lyft. But dude, some of the characters at like just normal like general franchise shops have some of the greatest personalities. They're just so funny people to be around. But there was a couple dudes who were like 40, 50, and sometimes I would look at them and be like, I don't want to be working here.
Yeah.
So not going to be fucking 20 working at 50, but honestly, like,
yeah,
so
I get what you mean.
I had to get out of there, just get out of that mindset. The cash was good. Tips were great. Good side money when I was doing Seaggs and delivery, but I quit that. And then now I'm doing this full time and I'm enjoying it. It's not as, the ROI might not be as high as like, getting like an actual office job out of fucking college, but goes back to, fulfillment, doing what I want to do. And everyone, I heard this quote somewhere, I forgot where, but everyone chooses how they suffer. And that could be seen as positive or negative. So no matter what you pursue, there's always going to be little sacrifices. Like, if you want to be a heart surgeon, and you want to save people, make good money so you can provide your family, but also like make an impact on like really, dangerous surgery. The thing you got to sacrifice is probably a social life or relationships. And that's how you suffer. You're doing what you want, but you choose. Every pursuit has its own little thing you have to suffer with. And I think that's a good quote.
That is a very good quote. I was left speechless for a second there. How do you suffer now then?
Well, in quarantine, everyone's kind of suffering a little bit the same. So my routine isn't that different than before quarantine. I live in Huntington Beach, which is like a little surf town, little surf city, USA. And I have two best friends, the chemistry science major dude, which I think I mentioned before, and then my meathead gym friend, who became techie all of a sudden. He's super into like technology and like apps and whatever. So I would hang out with them all the time. I'm still recording, good. So I'd hang out with them every now and then, and that's really it. I don't really talk to anyone. Some people from high school, some people from college, but even when I went to community college and then to Cal State Long Beach, I haven't been to a single college party. And sometimes it's like, that's the dream. You go to college and you go to parties and you fuck a lot, you do a lot of drugs and you party. It's cool. That's cool. Like, that's fine to do every now and then. But I didn't party in high school, so it wasn't my thing to be out all the time. I was always alone playing video games. So it makes sense for me. It makes sense for me to always be alone working in my room, doing my stuff by myself. And I'm very comfortable being alone. So every now and then I'm on Snapchat or Instagram, like, oh, they're at a party. Oh, they're at the zoo. Oh, Universal. And I'm just like, oh. But then I think, oh, there are times when I'm out doing fun things and then I post online and then someone else could see me doing it and like, oh, I'm at home. I wish I could be there with Jacob, or not with Jacob, but like, I wish I could be doing that thing. So it just feels like, like being in both positions.
Does that affect you a lot? Because I've heard a lot of people talk about that, almost like a jealousy when they see people doing better than them or doing a certain thing that they're not doing on social media. And I've never felt that. I've never felt jealousy. The thing I've felt sometimes is like, how sad are you that you have to share that on your life to feel that part of your life to feel validated? That's what I feel.
So yeah, it's FOMO. It's acronym, fear of missing out. So it could be like it's also about like what your mood is at that time. Like if you're having a good day and I sold a bunch of clothes and I'm making money, or I was just finished talking to like a girl I really like, or I just had a really nice dinner with some friends I haven't seen in a while. Like if you're in a good mood and then you on social media and you see people doing fun stuff, it's like, great, they're doing fun stuff. But if you're in a mood where like you're feeling down or things aren't going your way, no one bought your stuff. I'm saying it in my position, like no one bought the clothes you just made, or the girl you like didn't text you back. Or if you're just in a down mood and then you see other people having fun doing their own stuff, then you're more likely to be like, man, I wish I was doing that. Or like, what am I doing at home? And they're having fun. It's all situational. So at least in my instance, it depends on your mood and, what they're doing. But, social media, our parents probably never had to deal with like fear of missing out because they didn't know what their friends, family, cousins, whatever were doing all the time. So that is a huge downside of social media. You're always comparing yourself, especially like, or related to that, like in streetwear, you're doing your own thing and then you see another brand make something dope and you're like, damn, I should have thought of that. But then you move on, you think of like another cool thing. So it happens, but you don't feel the fear of missing out. That's good for you. It happens every now and then, but it is what it is.
I have an interesting story about the fear of missing out, but I'll save it for a YouTube video that I'm working on at the moment. So keep your eyes out for that one. But going back to the social media thing, I never know where I stand on my perspective of social media, because on the one hand, it's had so many negative influences on people's mental health, on, the perception of your life and how well you're doing, and bullying and all these crappy things. But at the same time, it allows people to connect and share their things. Like right now, the reason that I know you and the reason I'm doing this interview with you or whatever is through social media. So do you think that social media is a good thing? Do you think it's a bad thing? And how do you think it's affected Seaggs or you?
I think social media is a great thing. Like the negatives that I was talking about, like fear of missing out or people comparing themselves, because people are only posting the best parts of themselves online for like validation for what you said. And that's a personal problem. That error lies with the individual. But social media on its own, like without humans, well, it needs humans, but like without the judgment of humans, it's great. You talk to people from across the world. You can sell your brand, your products at the click of a button. You can buy like $5 Facebook ad, and like you can get like 10,000 strangers to see it. Social media is great. It's only bad because we make it bad. This is kind of a cheesy answer to it, but it's true. So yeah, online technology is great. It's all great. But like we grew up with this stuff, so we can't really, well, maybe as kids we didn't have social media, but like all kind of technology, like, you know, we've always kind of had Facebook for as long as we can remember. Like it's always been there. So like we don't really have anything to compare it to because it's kind of always existed. We've lived with being able to talk to someone UK to California. So it just seems like normal. It is a luxury, I'm sure, to some people, but it just seems kind of normal, like our everyday life.
Yeah, that's fair. So you mentioned that you went to community college and now you're Long something? I can't remember. Cal State
Long Beach.
Cal State Long Beach. Wow, that's enough.
CSULB.
Yeah. What did you study in community college, and what do you study now?
Okay, so in community college, when I started, I wasn't doing any embroidery shit, no clothing. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I like video games, but I didn't want to be like a professional video game player. I really didn't know what I want to do. So my dad's a doctor, so I thought, okay, you know, doctors make good money. You can help people, which wasn't the driving force for me, but I started to get into biology, and I wanted to be a plastic surgeon. I wanted to do butts and boobs. that was my superficial. That was my drive. That was my.
That's
thing.
Like every 11-year-old's dream.
just tits and ass. So, but because I wanted to do that, that's not necessarily the strongest motivation for 10, 12 years of fucking school. So I did bio, did like all the bio classes, did some chemistry. I got up to molecular biology, and I had a lab. So you go to normal lecture, and then there's like a lab where you do like actual experiments. Mm-hmm. I swear to God, I was probably the dumbest kid in that class, dude. I didn't know how to do shit. I would always copy off of my group mates. I didn't do any homework. I just didn't have a drive to do it. And then I had to take calculus 2. And I was like, no, fucking, that was the final straw. Calculus 2. Calculus is manageable, but calculus 2 is like exponentially harder. It's like, it's like tiers above calculus. It's so fucking hard. We spent like 1 week reviewing all of calculus, and then we jumped right into calc 2. And it was fucking ridiculous. So I was like, nope, not doing this. Told my parents, changing my major. I'm done. So I became business, which is usually how it goes. A lot of kids go from like bio to business, engineering to business, all the STEM to business. And I did business management. Well, at OCC, which is Orange Coast College, the community college I went to. It was business administrative
Administration.
Business.
No?
Administrative business. I think that was the title, like a general business. So I did 2 years of bio, and then fucked it up or quit, and then did 1.5 years of business, and then went to CSULB for business. I was business management, and there was, you know, you have to take an intro to business management, intro to business marketing, intro to international, just a little bit of business, everything, like general stuff. And when I took the intro to business marketing, giant lecture hall, like 150 kids, students, young adults. And in the very beginning, this is the only teacher that's done this. She said, okay, didn't even teach the first day. She just said, I want everyone to say your name and then stand up. That was my car. It's like squeaked, if you heard it. Stand up and then say your name and say something interesting about yourself, which is weird because this is a 150 person class. Usually that goes in classrooms, not a fucking lecture hall. So everyone did it. And then this was the time when I was doing the shoes. I had my little Dixie Cup Vans Jazz 90s design. And it got to my name. I stood up and I said, hey, my name is Jacob. I have a small clothing brand that I make custom shoes. And then teacher's like an old woman. She's like, oh, you make shoes. I love shoes. And then I took my shoe off and I held it up. Like, this is what I made. I don't know if that was the coolest thing to do, but I held it up. And she's looking at our chart and it says, Jacob, it says you're business management, but you seem like a creative person. I would assume you'd be business marketing. And then I sat down and I thought about that. I was like, I should probably be marketing. And I switched my major that day and I've loved it. Now looking back, business management sounds so fucking boring. You go there, you do this, blah, blah, blah.
I did management for 2 weeks, or 1 week, I think it was. Biggest load of shite I've ever done. Excuse my French. It was so boring. I'll tell you what, right? The lecturer spends 2 whole lectures, 2 hours of my life I wasted watching this guy talk about whether it is the role of managers to deal with social inequality in the workplace.
Someone's got to do it. It is boring. Yeah, that does sound pretty boring. That sounds like something a manager would do. There was one thing that I learned in management that was interesting. I forget how to do it, but it's like, let's say you're making, I can't even think of an example.
You've forgotten how to do it, but you learn it, right?
No. I mean, if I wanted to relearn it, I could just email him and say, hey, what is this process called? Then I can look it up. But basically, let's say you're making like some piece of technology, but there's a fuck ton of different components. Like, let's say component A takes 2 weeks to make at max 3 weeks. Component B takes 1 week to make at max 3 weeks. And each component takes a minimum and maximum amount of days. And then you do some math and you figure out at the end, what is the fastest we can get this done? And what's the longest max date we can get this done? And you do some math with like averaging the interval of, I can get component A done in like 1 week, but part C done in 3 weeks, but that can allow part, F to be done in like this amount of time. You know what I mean? So it allows you to figure out when something can be done if each component is done in a certain amount of time. That's the only cool thing. Like, okay, that seems very useful. Other than that, marketing's been awesome. I took a social media marketing class, consumer behavior. So fucking interesting, dude. Consumer behavior. Why do customers buy? Why do they think the way they think? There was this like audio example in the book, which is fucking interesting, dude. So there's like this audio mixer. I love marketing so much. So there's like an audio mixer, and it was called like I'll make up the name because I forget. Let's call it the PX100, and it's painted gray, and it's like a mixer for like music and shit and audio. The PX100 or whatever, and it was priced at $80. Consumers like you and me would buy it, but professionals wouldn't buy it. Oh, that's just a toy that hobbyists use. We're professionals. We only use the best equipment possible. So the company they made a new version called PX1000, made it $600 and painted it black. Does the exact same thing. And the professionals were like, this is such a good machine. We buy it all the time. They changed the color, the name, and the price to make it more elite. And that's in the consumer's mind. It's expensive. It looks more sleek. It must be better, and we'll use it. And that's it. No change in performance. It's just the perception of it. And I think that is so strange. That is so cool. Why do they do that? So I love consumer behavior. I'm so glad I switched to marketing. It's so much fun. Some of it's kind of boring, but 90% of it, I enjoy all my classes.
That's good.
I'm a little nerd in that way.
So do you think, well, I think I already know your answer, but do you think it's useful for
Yes.
people to go to college?
Oh, that I didn't know you were going to ask that.
Oh.
Okay.
What did you think I was going to ask?
If marketing has helped my Seaggs.
Oh, okay. Well, that was the next question, but...
Okay. Should people go to college? I think it depends on a lot of factors. You know, if you're like living at home on your parents' dime and they want you to go to college, you kind of have no say. You should go to college if it's what they want. Until you get a job and move out and do your own thing, then you can do whatever you want. But in terms of, do you need college? If you're doing STEM, if you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, engineer, architect, you probably should go to fucking college, because that takes like actual rigorous studying, math, concept learning. But if you want to do something more on the creative end, maybe something on the more social end of like, you know, consumer service or creative, you musician, artist, animator, stuff like that, you know, those kind of courses would help for sure, because you would learn like the environment, at least some terminology, maybe how shit works, different vocab words. But when you're actually doing it, you're learning a lot more. It may be slower. You may be learning a little slower if you're actually doing it, but you're so much better at it, depending on what you do. Because like in like school, you can learn like so much about like law. Like if you're like, there's a whole class on torts, T-O-R-T. Torts are like civil crimes, I think. And you can learn everything you fucking need to know about torts in this course. But if you're actually like practicing law, I don't know shit about law, but if you're practicing it or you're interning, whatever, you'll know more about smaller sections of tort law. Maybe not the entire spectrum of like civil crime and like punishments and remedies and all this different stuff, but you'll be actively doing it to where you're expert on maybe cybercrime torts or fucking rape tort. I don't think rape is a tort, but like other sections, it's definitely not a tort. It's not civil. So just other sections of it. So it depends on what you want to do. My experience is a little bit of both. So I'm actually going to graduate with a marketing degree as well as doing Seaggs. So I guess that's kind of the best combination, at least for me, at least. So I could have gone to like graphic design school or fashion school. I've attended, this is what one of my professors told me. If you're actively interested in a class, you could just visit the professor during their office hours and say, hey, I have a clothing brand. I like to sew and embroider. Would you mind if I just sit in the back of your lecture hall during your cut and sew whatever fashion class and I can just learn? And he said, yes. I don't have to pay that shit. I'm not being tested on it. I don't get a degree for that, but I just am interested in it. So I did that twice. I should have done it more, but I did that twice. I don't remember anything from it, but it was just nice to be able to be like, I didn't pay for this. I'm just like learning the same shit these guys are. So yeah, if you're ever interested in like a degree or a focus that you're not pursuing, just be nice and ask the professor that you're interested in it. And 8 times out of 10, that's what my other professor said, they'll allow it. It's a little cheat code.
Yeah, and on like the same kind of note, if you ever want to get like an article or a journal or a book, maybe the book or like an extract of a book from like somebody, you can literally just email or contact the author themselves and they'll be like happy. I've done it before. They'll be happy to send it to you because like there was these certain papers that I couldn't get access to through my university. And then I just emailed the person who did it and they were like, oh yeah, just have them. Here you go. Here's a link to it. So
that's dope.
Yeah. Cool tips. But yeah, the next thing was how marketing and your class and your degree, how has that influenced Seaggs, your brand?
So, the only marketing I did, so the marketing that I did that didn't have anything to do with my actual academic courses was basically like what every streetwear brand did, which is like use hashtags, send influencers or people that have reach, tell your friends, do giveaways, discount codes, first 10, 50 orders, get a necklace or a shirt or whatever. Just those were like the popular incentives in the community, in the environment, like the basic things anyone can do. And then I took social media marketing with a guy. His name is Scott Flexo. He looks very Jewish, and he looks like my uncle. So maybe that's an extra reason why I liked him. Big nose, glasses, gray hair. One of the best professors that I've taken for marketing. I've had two favorite professors. So social media marketing, we went over Facebook ads, Instagram ads, A/B testing, which is like I could send an ad out, but I'm not sure if the picture is right. So I could send the same ad out twice with a different picture, and then you can compare the results. And then you can repeat it, but with different genders, and then repeat it with different age groups, A/B. So you're testing certain criteria to see which is the best. And on Facebook ads, you can do that for like $5 a day. And after you spend like $100, you can have the exact perfect ideal target market. And then you could just blow it up with all your money or a good amount of money. And then you just have this insanely good, accurate, precise ad. So it takes a little bit of testing, but I started to do that on Facebook ads. Now, whenever I do my collections, as I'm hyping them up or as I'm posting them, I'm doing little A/B tests for a couple bucks a day. And then once I release it, I do the final blast test. We went over email marketing. He showed us really cool examples of other media. What's the right word? Just media. Like a while ago, I think it was Doritos. They created like a video game, and it was like an in-browser scary horror game for like years ago for like a Halloween Doritos thing, and it was like a story, like one of those like the public would pick what the characters do next, and it was like a horror story, and that was like a really cool interactive thing. I don't know how it relates to Doritos, but this shit works, I guess. But it's what are some other things? Social media. Can we learn about influencers and like all the platforms: Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I have my notes that I look at every now and then. I don't even care to remember all the stuff. I just fucking go back and read it when I need to. That's really much it. Aside from that, we learned some pricing strategies. Being cheaper isn't always the best way to get orders. Like I said about the PX100, PX1000 thing, it just depends on the product you're selling and the customer's perception. Like if you're an audio engineer, you're probably not going to buy cheap shit. Like you're probably going to want to look for the $800,000 thing because it's going to last longer and do better. So you can make $100 item, but it's priced at $600 that does the same thing as the lower version, and you could get the professionals to buy it. That's not lying to them. That's just understanding how people purchase, which is so fucking smart.
So how much of that marketing stuff, though, can you just learn from the internet? And how much of it do you have to go to college for? Because you've taught me a bunch of stuff here. And like, I'm sure if I just asked you or went on YouTube, I could learn a bunch of this stuff anyway. So is it really important for me to go to college or somewhere to learn that formally?
You can learn everything you can learn in college, you can learn online. College is just a neat little way that they package it all together, and it's convenient. Like you pay for it, obviously, but like the same way you pay for like courses online. School is just a lot more traditional, more like preppy. Maybe not preppy, but just like a traditional way of like looking at how you'd learn something. So they just package it nicely, so you get a little bit of consumer behavior, some social media, some marketing research, marketing management. So it's just a nice little package. So they at least give you enough knowledge of what to learn, and then you're basically like, I've been doing air quotes a lot, this thing, enough to so you're ready for like the real world. So, but you can learn everything on the internet, but some people just don't know what to search for. So, you may be able to search, how do I market my brand or business through social media? Okay, that checks that off. But you may not immediately think, oh, how do consumers think when they're making a purchase decision, consumer behavior? Or how do I collect data and analyze it when I give surveys to people? That's marketing research. You got a sample size, and you think how many people like streetwear, what brands they like, or what the demographic is. Okay, then I want to put that into a software called Qualtrics. How do I know that? or why would I know that? To Google it. So there's our and Qualtrics is a software where you can input a shit ton of data, and it can give you lots of graphs and percentages, and it can tell you like 80% of your demographic is male, but only 3% come from a high income neighborhood, while 80% come from this neighborhood, and it's just very specific stuff that's meant for probably like big boy corporations when they're doing a lot of campaigns and stuff for marketing. Maybe not for those smaller people when Facebook ads are simple enough where you don't need to know all that information. I'm sure it would help if you're like really focused product. Well, streetwear is kind of a broader range, but so you can learn anything you want online. It just depends on what you know to search for and how dedicated you are to like practice it. It's just the convenience of buying the package from the school. So you don't need it.
When you say knowing what to search for, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, how have you found things?
Well, taking marketing classes has expanded my I guess business vocabulary, at least in what like there are things you know, things you don't know, and things you didn't know you don't know. So like those are the things that you don't even know to search for because you don't even know what they're called. You don't know that they exist. So I didn't know, like for example, did you know what Qualtrics was?
No.
No. So Qualtrics is just a software that helps. It's not like I don't use it now, but I'm just saying that could be compared to like another term or concept or structure or campaign strategy. Like there's things that you don't know. So maybe as you research and like stuff like what are the basic elements of a marketing campaign or what do I need to know to market my business, they'll probably find an article that has like a list and you could like learn different shit from that, and then you could do further research on part A, part B, part C, and then do that. But it just has it sounds pretentious, expanded my vocabulary and like what I can search up and what I can like touch up on or like refresh my memory on learning this. You don't, I don't use everything I learned, but I wouldn't say all of it, taking all the marketing classes was a waste, because there's a lot of overlap, and like you learn about consumer behavior in a couple of the marketing classes. So when you learn about it for the third time, it gets pretty like ingrained in your head on like how to learn about it, search about it, how to actually execute when you want to like do certain activities or campaigns, or I don't know, maybe some of the words are escaping me right now, but the best thing you can do is just start Googling, and then you'll eventually learn or read or glance at a word that'll strike your interest, and then you could do more research on that. So I'm sure there's a million things that I don't know about, like upper level, graduate PhD marketing classes. I'm just not there yet. I'm not going to do that. I'm getting my bachelor and I'm fucking done.
Mm-hmm.
No
so
more.
On that kind of note, I couldn't think of a word then. On that kind of note, what's the future of Seaggs and Jacob like then?
So the future of Seaggs. Okay, so I did mention that Magdal Sade, or maybe that was like before the interview started. But like, yeah, Magdal Sade kind of thing. But Magdal Sade is the second brand, more structured. There's a story. There's a brand image, brand positioning. It creates a world like Disney and Knott's Berry Farm. It makes you want to be a part of it. So that's just a really basic little summary of that. Seaggs is less concentrated. It's just me starting with embroidery. Now I've done some screen printing applique stuff, but it's just me making cool stuff. I've done military. I've done science and space. I've done samurais and naked girls, skeletons, and I've did just creative shit. So the thing with Seaggs is I have been making more YouTube videos on just describing best hoodies and shirts, and I'll do more blank videos, and I'm working on a wholesale video, where to get wholesale made, how to get cut and sew stuff made. So just more like auxiliary supplemental things that I wish I knew. This kind of seems like the format for like every like helping, air quote, YouTube channel, but it's nice content. I'm sure people appreciate it when all the information's there in one video. I definitely want to do more videos, and I do have some other pieces planned. I do have things written down that I'm going to get to, but I'm not going to say them now because it's a little ways away. Because I'm waiting on the anime pack to be produced. I'm waiting on to get some blanks for some pre-orders and another shirt that began production to come in as well. So I'm already waiting on a couple things that are like pretty close in the future. So I'm not going to say like what I'm going to do in like a year or so, because some things I know what I'm going to do. Other times, plans change. Plans usually never go according to plan. So whatever I say now, it might be different in 6 months.
We'll do a quick fire. We'll do a few quick fire questions, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay.
Okay.
Well, you don't have to keep it too short, but try not to keep it as long. Okay. That's kind of.
Are you saying do I talk too much?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Exactly what I'm saying.
Okay, no, fair.
The first one. What's the dream?
I want to be able to pursue a career that I enjoy, but also make enough money to like care for my family. Because I do want a family, not my current family, obviously, but I do want a family in the future. I want a wife. I want a beautiful Latino wife. And I want 2 daughters. And I want to have a career that I enjoy, being creative, that can support them, and we're comfortable, and I can give them what they want. Maybe not spoil them, They don't need a phone when they're 10, but, enough to be comfortable.
Yeah, good answer. How has the money side of things affected you with Seaggs?
In what way?
Like making money and then making money out of something that you're passionate about.
It feels good. It makes me feel like all the energy and work I put into things isn't in vain. Like some things don't sell, and that could either be the consumer doesn't think it's pretty enough, or I just priced it too much. Things eventually sell once you find like the sweet solid price. You can put them on sale or whatever. But it feels good. Like, the profit's good. I'm just happy that I'm able to make stuff and people support it. Even if they buy it for $50 or $100. It's just nice that people will spend their own money on things that I've made. And that makes me feel good.
This is a question that I've stolen from another podcast, but I like to use it anyway. You've obviously been quite successful. Like, you have gone from working at a pizza place and delivering pizzas to having a brand of your own with 10,000 followers on Instagram, having your business degree, your marketing degree that you're graduating with now, and then you're working on a new brand, and you've obviously got a lot of plans for the future. How much of your success has been down to your hard work, and how much of your success has been down to chance?
Okay, so the chance part comes from my aunt just having 5 embroidery machines. Like, that was the chance part. Because if she wasn't like that, she's been sewing and embroidering creative stuff for like decades. So if that wasn't in her personality, I don't think I would have been in the position to get an embroidery machine. I used to like to draw as a kid, and I still like to be creative and draw, but I don't know if embroidery and clothes would have been the medium I'd be in now. Maybe it would have been, and I would have found a different way I got into it, but that was definitely the chance part. And then what was the first part? Did you say hard work?
Yeah, how much of it is hard work? How much of it is chance?
Okay, so yeah, the chance part was my aunt, and the hard work is the rest of it. Like, I must have wanted it a lot. Like, it was only me. Like, I first got my machine. I set it up on the floor in my sister's old room, and I was just learning the machine, the software. Just no one else helped me. Like, I did have some monetary help when I got my first version of the software. I split it with my parents as like a combination of birthday and Christmas, as well as like don't pay for dorming for Long Beach. It paid for my siblings dorming at USC and UCLA, but I'm like, how about I live at home and then you put money into this thing I'm pursuing instead of like the college experience. And that was another way, like the sacrifice, you choose how you suffer kind of thing. So that was it. That was really the only help I've ever gotten from my parents. The rest is just me buying the blanks myself, buying the clothing, doing the orders, learning, watching videos, and that's all just the time in my room, being alone, doing all that stuff. But it seems to have paid off, so I'm chill with that.
What do you think sets you apart from everybody else?
It's pretty subjective. I don't know. Everyone's got their own little thing. Because in clothing, I mean, I can say like, oh, I'm super creative. Everyone's creative nowadays. Everyone has a clothing brand nowadays. It really depends on, I think, so wait, you frame the question as what sets me apart? I think it's like which consumers are drawn to which style of brand. Because people do like cut and sew, people do just denim, people do screen printing or just embroidery. Like you can be as creative as the next person, just depend on the product you make and what makes it appealing to someone else. Like I make YouTube videos and I make clothes. I'm not going to say I'm more creative than someone else. It's just my own little style. You know, two people can make the same really good panini. Just depends what you're in the mood for.
Damn, that was a great way of putting it. That was such a good way of putting it.
I know, dude.
Bro, that was nice.
It rolls off the tongue. Thank you.
Final question. Imagine you've got a microphone that works, full batteries, and you've got the whole world in front of you. What's your message?
Okay, hold on. I have to think about this for a second. It's gonna be something cheesy, dude. It's gonna be, oh no, I got you. Everyone, you and you. Everyone has peaks and valleys. The first time you do something, it is going to suck. And then you learn from it. And then the next day, it's still going to suck. And then the third day, it's going to suck. But one day, it's just not going to suck as bad. You got to be patient. You got to just, whatever you're doing, if you're starting to exercise, starting a career path, your dream job, creativity, anything, just listen to yourself, be patient. You're going to fuck up in the beginning. Just deal with it. You can do it. If someone has, these are like a million pieces of advice combined into one. If someone from your exact same demographic has done what you want to do, then you have no complaints. You know, like any race, religion, cult, ethnicity, gender, if someone who looks like you has done the thing you want to do, then you have no excuse because they've done it. I don't know if it was going to be easy. They can do it. Let's see, what else can I pin on this? Everyone comes from different walks of life, different environments with different luxuries and different, curses. You know, good things and bad things are environment. Don't compare yourself. There's always going to be someone better than you. There's always going to be someone worse than you. Or should I say, there's always going to be someone starting off with more resources and less resources than you. Just work with what you got, do what you can. And there's also a sense of freedom when you are limited. Because if you have so many options, you have information overload, and sometimes it's hard to start and it's hard to do shit. If you're limited to one lane and a certain amount of things, then you can only do what you have, and that can give you a sense of like direction. So whatever you want to do, just fucking do it. And I know that's like a super cliche thing, like don't listen to your parents, don't listen to your teachers, do what you want, but it's true. You just gotta, how badly do you want it? And then do it. That's it.
Bro.
That was like a million things.
Yeah, that was a nice short answer.
A lot.
Yeah. It's been awesome to have you on the show, on the podcast.
Thank you.
If people want to find out more from you, see your stuff, check you out, where do they go?
So on Instagram, my handle is @byseaggs, BYSEAGGS. My YouTube is just Seaggs, SEAGGS. And those are my main two social media. I have a website, Seaggs.com, but you can get there from either one of those outlets. So I interact with everyone most on Instagram. I post all my stuff there, and YouTube has supplemental help videos. If you want help with stuff, where you can find me.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show, man.
Thank you for having me. It's been a blast.